Thank you to the Mother of the Universe, the source of all that is in creation, for your presence and blessings on this live webinar. Thank you to all the forms and expressions of that source of creation, which are none other than the finest manifestations of our own consciousness, for offering broad perspectives, great capabilities, and wisdom into this session. Thank you to the ancestors of everyone attending this live webinar and everyone who will attend or will view it in the future, for boldly participating in the events of the webinar, for cherishing each of us as the expression of your immortality, for supporting our evolution. Thank you to the presence of God and everyone present for blessing this live session with the ability to concisely and efficiently express the principles and perform the actions necessary to support the intention of this webinar, which is to apply the relationship to connect the principle of passion and excitement and enthusiasm with the process of gaining success in manifesting, success in life, success in all areas. And thank you for supporting the ability of everyone in this session to not only do that, not only to apply their excitement, their enthusiasm and compassion to the field of manifestation in such a way as to elicit maximum success in the field of the relative, but also to empower each of us to master the more broad-ranging aspects of energy work as well, so that each person becomes capable of being their own greatest healer, autonomous in affecting their maximum evolutionary flow and enjoying the highest values of life on all levels. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. All right. So I thought I'd start with just a little teeny recap of some of the basic principles from yesterday, and then we'll dive in and see, unless, and I'm just going to ask first, it's good to be flexible, if the group wants something first as a collective. So the first thing I'm feeling is a continued increase of energy as we begin this webinar. So just the energy in general, the subtle energies are rising. And I'm looking to see about a coordination or integration with the group as a whole, but it feels as if we already got that, as well as several other of the major downloads from yesterday's webinar. If you want to know about those in details, feel free to watch that video when it comes in. Meanwhile, stirring, or just there's a stirring, a kind of a deep stirring of the field of consciousness in the group. And as that happens, it's activating up the knowledge and information necessary to step forward into this process. So we just want to reiterate basically that there's a pattern or a sequence of events that the individual goes through in the process of manifesting. So I just want to lay that out, kind of like 3 steps basically. And the first step is, whenever there's any kind of discomfort or discord or some area that needs to be addressed, and we'll take, for example, a cold. This is the time of year where people tend to get viruses and colds, and it's not fun. So if we've got that state of the physiology all clogged up and headachy and low on energy and so forth, we know what that feels like. The presence of that condition acts like, we can use it like leverage to produce the opposite effect. Because when we feel great, then there's a tendency to just kind of take the feeling great for granted. But when we feel yucky, then all of a sudden feeling great becomes very highly cherished, and one really appreciates the fine details of how great one feels when the cold isn't there. So the value of the cold is to provide an energy frequency of the opposite of what you want to attract or create. And using that discord, it's very easy to form in the awareness and in the imagination very clearly how great it feels to not have the cold. That vision of, oh yeah, when I'm feeling completely clear and beaming with energy and my digestion is working at 100%, and all the things that we like to associate with maximum health. So that feeling becomes very clear at the time that we're suffering from the thing that we don't like. So what we do is we experience that, picture it, imagine it, see it, feel it. As it goes to deeper levels of awareness, it becomes more abstract, and it becomes very much just a feeling. There's a feeling of robust health. Everybody's had it at some point or another in their life, mostly. So that feeling, then we release that like a little statement, release it into the field of pure being, the divine self, the eternal self, the absolute. Think of, if you're not sure what that is, think of it as the very life that is in you, the life that is the difference between you being alive and not being alive. You can also think of it as awareness, pure awareness. We experience this pure source of creation in many different ways. Physically, we experience it as the life that's in us, and mentally we experience it as awareness, pure awareness. But we offer it into that, like letting it go. And what happens is the divine level of being is really the doer and the organizer of all activity. It's the creator of everything. And so it takes that idea or intention, that vision of robust health, and aligns it with your highest potential. At any given moment, that robust health can be coordinated with not only the best possible for you, but also the best possible for the environment and everybody you know and everything. So good digestion. It's good to have all that. So what happens is it comes back into the body. The answer, you can say the answer. It's like you ask a question, you make a statement, you drop it into the field of pure being, and it comes back as an answer in the form of a physical sensation. The body is the antenna of divine cognition or divine wisdom. Most people tend to feel that energy coming in through the crown, and it feels like a sensation of light or like a tingling. Sometimes it comes in like a tingling, and when that happens, you know that the knowledge and the wisdom is coming in at that point, and it comes in a very concentrated form. So it takes a little while for the brain to go through the steps necessary to translate that cognition of light into a thought or an idea or an impression, sometimes even a sensation that makes sense to the conscious mind. So we'll just do that right now for everyone in the group. And what I'm seeing, oh, it's so beautiful. In the group, what I'm seeing is that the vision of this robust health is being augmented and activated before it's dropped into the field of pure being. It's being augmented by structures in the celestial level of the physiology. We have such powerful capabilities accessible at the deepest, finest levels of our physiology. And this also was one of the downloads from yesterday, was a gift from everyone's divine self to awaken a level of wisdom in the celestial body. My husband said, if it has a name, give it a name. My tendency is not to, as I said yesterday, not to name off names of forms of our celestial self, because I don't want people to get confused and think that it's something separate from you. Your celestial body has the capability to literally hum or resonate in the divine forms of creation. That means you become Ganesh, you become Jesus. You become not that you are, like, we don't want to be schizophrenic and think, oh, I'm Jesus, but right. But the thing is that Jesus, all the great beings, oh, this is Easter weekend. How appropriate, right? All the great beings, all the great saints, ascended masters, archangels, angels, all the great beings, bodhisattvas, their bodies only manifest through to the celestial or causal level of the physiology. That's their realm. That's where they exist. That's where they do their thing. And we exist from here all the way to physical manifestation. So what we're used to doing is we're used to harnessing up the 4 denser levels of our physiology and say, I got to get this thing done. I'm going to force my way through it. I've got a cold. I'm going to start taking medicines, right? We're taking something in a physical material in order to try to affect the physical material. Because there's a tendency to think of ourselves as separate from our own essential nature, which is also infinite and divine and eternal and deeply wise. But and I'm just looking, so everybody's receiving actually a little bit of healing for the gap between the denser levels of the physiology, the astral level, the spirit level, this area right in here. This area is there's a little bit stuck energy right there. And I'm just looking, looks like 3 M's, looks like individualized identification, connected to ancestors. A lot of ancestors have a little stuckedness there where they're feeling like, oh, we are pathetic little creatures of the earth. We are not eternal and divine. We are just our bodies or whatever. They're thinking, whatever they're thinking, God bless them, and we love them, and we needed them to think that, and they needed to know how precious and adorable they are for thinking that, because those boundaries and limitations that are set up by the mental body are necessary to provide a means by which the Mother of the Universe knows herself through us, and it is a gift, and it makes you infinitely precious. So thank you for having those thoughts to the ancestors. Thank you for being so beautiful and so precious and making the sacrifice of thinking that you weren't eternal and divine in order for all of us, your descendants, to bear witness to the infusion of divine light into those boundaries, those exact boundaries. You did it like a gift for us. Thank you. You're so precious. Anyway, as I was saying, the celestial body is awakening. It's activating up. It's very, very close to the field of infinite silence, infinite pure being. So generally, the celestial body sits kind of quietly down at a very deep abstract level. But it has the potential or capability of humming up, of like resonating forward, like a musical instrument that sits quietly in its case. It sits quietly most of the time, but when the musician decides to pick it up and start blowing through it, or to open up the voice and start singing, all of a sudden resonation comes out. So you don't know that you can play the instrument unless you know the instrument is there. So it's good that we understand that the range of our physiologies is from very, very abstract to very concrete. And it is possible to bring our attention or awareness down to these deep, very, very delicate levels. And this celestial body isn't like a physical body with boundaries and limitations. It's like a field. It's a field. And the field, think of the ocean. The ocean can sit quiet, or the ocean can rise up in a big wave, a big tidal wave. So it rises up and it activates in the form, and thank you, this is also being augmented by the source of creation. There are forms that the celestial body is capable of creating and producing, which are mega powerful, which are so filled with light, which are so capable of affecting the antenna of divine cognition, the physiology, like nothing we have ever experienced before. And I have to qualify that. In thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, we have not experienced. But if we look back in the hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors have experienced. And their memories help guide and support this activation in the celestial body. There have been times when people were living in much more delicate bodies, like refined bodies that were more made of light. Then they became denser. And we've gone through periods of more density, more light, more density, more light, like that. And we're coming out of a time of great density into the period where we can experience our bodies more as pure light. There we go. So I'm just feeling is a lot of clearing taking place in the digestive system and in the solar plexus right now. This healing is it's in line with today's principles, because a lot of the bliss and joy that the body experiences comes from that lightness of the sun. You know how the sun, it warms your face and it just makes you happy, right? And the solar plexus is connected to the sun. Everything in life can be a source of joy and happiness, of course. Everything. The moon can too. The air can too. But I'm just feeling that activation for everyone in the group. And what I'm seeing is a kind of a stabilization of power in our group, stabilization of strength and energy, but a sort of a really deep power. And so I'm going to take that, because I'm not sure why your God presences are guiding this healing. So I'm going to take what I'm cognizing, what I'm seeing is this energy frequency in the group that's extremely powerful, and drop that into the divine level of light, of consciousness. All right. So as it comes back in, what I'm seeing is a movement, a nice big movement of energy through our group, like that, a kind of a vortex or a swirling of energy, and it's expanding up and out. And it's offering like a prayer of love and gratitude to the Mother of Creation. It's self-referring back to the divine. So the divine is, you could say, self-nourishing through the collective of our intention. And this, okay, nice big download coming in for the physiologies. Nice big download. And this, I'm feeling the same energy that we offered back to the Mother of Creation as our deep love and gratitude. That prayer of love and gratitude is coming in now. It's reflecting back into our physiologies as a form of very powerful light. It is a whitish golden light. It's activating the physiology down to the subcellular, molecular, atomic, subatomic 1, subatomic 2, down to the quantum level. So it's going all the way into the finest levels of our physiology. I would say the finest dimensions of our physiology. Physically, this is for the body. Nice, everybody. Nice. And there's something, when it gets to the quantum level, there's a kind of a wave of energy that's coming back out, that's reflecting back out from the quantum level, that's like this whack, 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 whack. It feels like this. It feels like it's rippling back out, and yet there's also a stability in it. What I'm seeing is a fractal-like form where the energies are reflecting back and forth on each other. Again. Hall of mirrors. Hall of mirrors, the chamber of mirrors. And that now we offer back into the field of pure being. All right. All right. So a new level of self-definition. This now is for the mind. The body has made its shift. The body is radiating a quality of light that it did not have before. But in order for this experience to be fully integrated, we need to understand what we are intellectually, on the level intellectually, emotionally, mentally. So a refinement or a redefinement of self-definition is coming. And what I'm seeing is a form of, looks like a form of mother to me. White, just white and massive. She is massive. And she is presenting as one's own self. She's presenting herself as yourself. And I'm just feeling waves of gratitude and love starting to flow into this expression of self and acceptance. And there's a huge clearing going on right now for ancestors, because it's so outside the box of their definition of self. But if we can just open up that family treasury a little bit more, she can reconnect back with the ancient ancestors who were okay and clued into this. For those who are not familiar, family treasury being that the DNA is the archive of the ancestors. And we know it's a double helix form, but there's a silent center inside that double helix, an empty space, which is an aspect of the Akashic record. It doesn't hold every single story of every single thing that anybody in your family did, but what it holds is the essence of the spiritual growth that each member of the family experienced during their lifetime, the essence. And it's being honored through this healing right now. This part down at this deep, deep level of the physiology is being honored and integrated with the new definition of self. And even though I refer to that light, that being as she, it's so great. It is so great. It contains all masculine, feminine, everything. Everything contained within it. And it's redefining on the level of intellect and heart of who we actually are. And this is in preparation for us, evidently, to do our work today in this webinar. That from the level of great empowerment, clarity, wisdom, integration, then we can do what we need to do. So I was intending that the webinar would be on a fairly practical level because last night's webinar was so abstract. And so I'm just offering that intention to this part of the self. And what's coming back immediately is more integration. So more integration is taking place between what we think of as the absolute level of pure being, the inner chamber, the inner parts of the self and the physical body. So that again, it's a more complete structure, a wholeness, so that each person is functioning from a level of wholeness. Thank you. And I'm just seeing everybody's energy field becoming integrated. This is really good. This is an extension of the work we did on the astral body yesterday. Very nice. As that's happening, we want to talk about passion and success. So I'm offering that now that this level of stabilization has taken place. And I mean, we could go into a lot more detail on that level of stabilization, but it's okay. It unfolds as it's supposed to. So the thing about passion is there are various areas and structures in the physiology responsible for our ability to get enthusiastic and excited about life and about stuff. And one of the areas is the circulatory system. One of the areas we already looked at, that was the third chakra area. But another area is the circulatory system, because the flow of blood in the body is the flow of bliss. Also the hormones they carry, they get carried through the circulatory system. Also, I would expect they get carried through some of the other systems too, like the digestive system and the endocrine system, of course. But just looking at everyone's circulatory systems, heart chakras, clearing off a few little clouds in the heart chakras, little 3Ms, which are morphic fields, morphic resonances, and subtle metamorphic fields. And then also there are discordant feelings under that in the heart chakra area that include like feelings of, oh, it's impossible and I can't do that and I'm not good enough, and those feelings. So those feelings are also clearing out. And as any kind of little imbalance, remember, as I was mentioning before, if you've got the imbalance on one side, what happens is that clears out, and what takes its place is just light. It's the integrated light of pure being. And it's this wonderful, great, powerful force of energy that's flowing through this, flowing through our session today, flowing through our collective. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so one of the things that's happening right now is that the principle that we were talking about with the ancestors, where there are like little boundaries there, and that sometimes people use those boundaries as excuses to not love themselves or not feel capable, or as reasons for not moving forward. But what we're seeing is that the power in this group has built up to such a pitch that it's offering out to the collective. And as it does that, we're able to balance and soothe everybody who feels a little hopeless, or it's impossible, or, thank you and God bless the Europeans who are with us today, but I can tell you there are a lot of Westerners here too, and in the West we're looking at some very interesting developments politically, and it looks sometimes impossible, and we know that people are feeling that. And also, all the different countries are having their little challenges, that they're little and big challenges that they're looking at. And so with all blessings on all of the family of humanity, we are allowing, what's happening is the tendency to look at the situation and go, oh, this isn't good. This isn't going to work out. This isn't going in the direction that I want it to work out. That is being softened so that every time those thoughts and feelings come up, they are a deeper reason to self-love. So this is the heart. This is the healing for the heart. And what we're doing here is we're basically, for ourselves, we're clearing off karma in the whole heart chakra area. Because anytime we can become the center of a healing that touches the collective, then automatically the karma shifts, the whole field of creation shifts. So what we're doing is we're softening that nut. It's like there's a little hard spot right there. It's that feeling of, it's so impossible. It's never going to work out right. There's nothing I can do. I'm powerless. No, nothing has happened until it's happened. And even after it's happened, modifications can occur. It's so much more a field of all possibilities than one tends to give it credit for. But having the thought in the first place, this is impossible, isn't the worst thing. You're just bringing it up. You're adorable, and you're bringing it up because that little boundary needs to be there to show us the direction we want to go. Right there, that's what the download is. And it's going out. Is it going out to the whole family of humanity? Everybody? Everybody. So everybody's getting it. What, 8.8 billion or something? That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people who were clearing vicious cycles in the mental and emotional bodies for all the 8.8 billion. That little thing of, well, it looks impossible. I'm reading off my environment that this isn't going to work, and therefore I think it's impossible, and then what I think I create, and therefore I get into a little vicious cycle loop on it. No, that all just dissolving it. It's just dissolving it. And what's dissolving it? What's dissolving it is the light of being, the light of wisdom, the light of knowingness. In our beings as a collective, we have formed together like the facets on a diamond to be able to produce wave after wave. Remember, we made a big wave of love to Mother Divine? This is a wave of love to the family of humanity. And it's just offering the light of understanding and wisdom. It's going deep, deep down into their physiologies, down to this molecular level, down into the family treasury. If we follow our family treasuries back far enough, we connect up with everybody who's alive on Earth. And back at those early times, everybody owns the memory of living life in absolute affluence and fulfillment and fullness on every level. There's a lot of forgiveness flowing through the archives, through the family of humanity archives as well. Our ancestors have been waiting to come back. Those ancestors who are living at that level of wisdom have just been waiting for us to receive them back again, to find them in our own consciousness and cherish them and bring them back to join us. So many of those souls ascended so long ago, and they're absolutely intimately concerned and connected to us. They adore us and are so willing to work together with each of us when this level of the self, this highly expanded, highly capable level of our own self, our own family, grandparents, great-great-great-great-great-grandparents and grandmothers, or what, grandfathers and grandmothers, start functioning through our being as us, We get to share the benefits of their wisdom, their experience, their knowledge. And it's not something separate from you. It is you. You own it. You possess it physically. It's part of your physical body. Good job, everybody. I'm feeling a lot of, it feels like a lot of imbalance, several things. Discordant feelings are being released through the more recent ancestral lines. Heat is being released. Heat imbalances are being released. And I feel that this is significant with regards to climatic conditions on Earth, particularly for the year 2016. It seems that our bodies have been holding a kind of heat in them that's related to frustration, anger, anxiety, and that's being released from our physiologies now before we go into the hot here in the North American continent or the northern hemisphere, before we go into the summer and the oceans, and it's releasing from the oceans. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for averting the danger which has not yet come. Thank you so much, this group. I bow down to the group for creating this gift. And as this gift is flowing through our beings to the oceans and the waters of the earth, I'm holding silence because that takes it to infinity. Beautiful. Evidently, the earth has a support system. This is new information just coming out of this gift, that we gave the earth the gift to help cool her waters a little bit in this year 2016. She's saying she has a kind of a support system, an energetic support system. There are other planets. They're like sister planets in other solar systems, and they are connected. Oh, I just watched a video on quantum mechanics the other day of what Einstein called something like spooky connections or something, between subatomic particles, and how they have different spins, and that they can be separated very, very far away, and yet they can still be connected. If you do something with one of them, it affects the other one, like that, through this matrix of creation that connects not only all of us and all of life, but also connects on larger scale the planets, galaxies, the solar systems, etc. So she has a support system. And also there are ways in which the cosmic bodies can adjust themselves slightly, like the sun is on a trajectory toward the North Star, and the sun can make little slight adjustments in its course in order to bring us into a slightly cooler, warmer areas. So that can also be done to help support keeping the earth at a really temperate condition. I'm asking, this just came from the divine. We can do the same healing of bringing our bodies into forms of pure light for Mother Earth. And so she also can come into a space of feeling filled with light in a way it's been kind of dense, The energies on Earth have been dense for so many centuries now, and we can bring it to the whole Earth. So this I offer and send back to my own silence, to the divine. Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm seeing the same rich, goldeny, white, sweet, cool, lovely energy, which has been moving through our bodies. Remember, it moved down to the quantum level, is coming in through the poles of the earth. Through the North Pole, it's looping into the energy field of the earth to cool Mother Earth. It's a very, very high vibrational energy, so it's increasing the energy frequency. It's raising it up. I'm seeing an opening up of the overtone series. The overtone series, our ears here, human ears, between 16 cycles per second and 2,600 cycles per second. So if we have a note, ba, within that note, ba, there are other notes, ba, 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 like that. And what's happening is it's like opening and stretching open this range of expression of the note. When I say I'm not just making other notes that you're hearing up at the higher frequencies, but that note also has a light frequency, because when we get out of the range of what we hear with our ears, we get into the range of light. So if you sing a note, hum, you're actually also producing light. We're producing light when we sing notes. It just happens. This is the ears can't hear that light because it's an ear, and the light is very, very fine. So we may or may not be able to see it. It may manifest, that light might be manifesting out, could manifest out in any number of places in creation. Ha, ha, ha. So what's coming in, the download from that, is that this light energy that's coming into our bodies is such a light. It is such a light that not only exists as a light, as a subtle light, it's coming into the body of Mother Earth, but it also exists as notes, as tones, as rhythms. If we get down below 16 cycles per second, we get into rhythms. Da 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 da. If we take da 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 and we speed it up, it becomes a tone. Or da 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 is going to have a different set of overtones than da 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 da. It's a beautiful, like fractal-like expression. But how, I'm just asking back. I'm just going to keep asking back to keep us on track. So how does this relate to activating up our ability to harness our own excitement, passion, enthusiasm, and apply it to this this principle that the divine brings in a download of wisdom and ideas. It is sensation to the body that uplifts and upgrades the physiology, which results in the mind thinking certain thoughts and getting certain ideas and intentions. And then how we can apply to the intention, the vision being in robust health, and passion that causes that to activate in such a way as to manifest very, very quickly. What we're looking at is the question, I think, to clearly identify for the divine is instant manifestation. How can we use this principle to instantly manifest anything? So the ability to become, the download just came in, so I'm bringing it forward. The ability to feel really pumped about something, really enthusiastic, is a combination between a physical state of being and the finest level of feeling. So really it's a combination of what's happening up here and what's happening down here and what's happening in the gap here. It's an activation of the entire system of the range of manifestation of the physiology. And as a quick review, the field of pure, unmanifest, unbounded being is expanding in every direction in infinite speed. So think of it just exploding out. Meanwhile, the relative field of creation is like a skin, which is pressing in on that expansion. So you've got the expansion out, you've got the pressing in of the skin, and together the tension in between is the area where manifestation occurs. And if we look at that under the microscope, we get our field of our layers, our cosmic layers, from very dense to very abstract. So it's in the enlivenment of the gap between the unmanifest and the very manifest levels. And the key is to harness the ability to enliven that gap in a very specific way in order to get a specific manifestation. And that has to do with, number one, having the physiology more as a body of light. It has to be very flexible, because when we're manifesting, what's happening is the divine is manifesting. Our personalities are the witnessers, they are the appreciators, they are the part of us that looks at the reflection back of that manifestation, how that manifestation is shaped in our universe. But we, our small self, our individual self that we wake up to every morning, is not the manifester. The manifester is the divine level of self. Now, we did a big integration today, so that divine level of self and the conscious mind, the appreciator, is also integrated. The body is also integrated. So we can say, if one is experiencing oneself holistically, one can say, yes, I am the creator. of all this thing, all this reality. But we are working from the level of who we are. We are working from the level of conscious mind, personality. When you wake up in the morning, it's you again. Right? So that's the level that we make our conscious decisions, our day-to-day decisions, our moment-by-moment thoughts. The physiology fills with light. Physiology is restructuring itself throughout this whole healing session. Your physiology is restructuring itself. Your celestial body is actually working on the physical body, bringing in wave after wave after wave of just light. Think of the way petrified wood is made, right? The wood has its original shape, and then after centuries and centuries, wave after wave, every little piece of the wood gets replaced. So it's like that, wave after wave. Every little piece of the density in the physiology is getting replaced with the light of divine. And those downloads from the divine never stop. They're going 24/7. So the physiology goes through its transformation. The mental body goes through its transformation. The mind and emotions go through its transformation. The heart is going through its transformation. It's a combination, harnessing this intermediate field, the field where the manifestation occurs. It's a matter of shifting everything over just a little bit. What I'm seeing for some people are actual little blockages against the spine at each of the chakra points. And those blockages made of like little pieces of calcification, discordant feelings, habits, in many people's cases, habits. In order for this process in order to be able to instantly manifest, we really have to function outside the box. We have to function in a way we have not functioned before. It's too easy to look at the way things have always been and say, it takes time. It takes time to do X, Y, Z or whatever. But in order to get to that space, everything has to be very pliable and very flexible. And that means the ability to let go of the idea that things are going to have to go a certain way. That has to also, expectations, attachments, these are clearing. These are clearing particularly from the subtler levels of not the celestial, but here starting around the gap between the causal spirit, astral, and then up through the denser levels of the physiology. Expectations that things have to be a certain way, because how is anything ever going to exceed expectations if we expect it to be a certain way? It'll never exceed those expectations. We'll be holding it down. And the ability to really, really, really let go and allow one's own divinity to use the physical body and the personality, the mental, emotional level of the self like a tool, to use it like a tool or as a vehicle that is overseen by a particular function at the celestial and causal level of the self, including, I'm seeing for everyone, causal body medicines being produced that are creating deep pliability, flexibility. This should affect joints, for example, like a kind of a energy, abhyanga, an energy oil going in and gently, gently softening up and making flexible, making pliable all the gaps, all the points between the gaps between the chakras, the gaps between the layers and this continuum of the self, the connection between the individual and the environment. That's the other thing, is that the environment, when we talk about instant manifestation, we're talking about how we interface with our environment, basically. You know, if we activate all the abilities, we become capable of harnessing all our own resources to instantly manifest. And then the environment is still, you know, there are people that don't think that that can happen or whatever. The environment itself gets stuck into certain little things. So we need to see, where is that gap? Where is it that I feel separate from my environment? One point is the air. My first point of contact with the environment is the air, yeah? And we have to understand that we think of the air as like stuff. It's air. It's air molecules. There's oxygen and carbon dioxide and so forth. Actually, the air is a field around our Earth, and the field is alive. The field is filled with light. The field is filled with life force. It is actually a being. This is my perception. The air is life. It is alive. It is a being, which is a field, like the ocean is a living thing. The ocean is filled with emotion. The ocean is filled with emotion. The ocean is the mother of our earth. Ocean is the mother of all life on earth. And as such, is filled with compassion and love and dedication to the well-being of every living thing on earth. We think of the ocean as a thing, but the ocean is really capable of adoring us. It's not capable of thinking, it's not capable of building a computer. It's not capable of doing certain functions because it has a body that's a field. But the air also is a field, and the air gets as much joy and pleasure out of being breathed in and out by all the living bodies on earth as we have joy and pleasure breathing in and out that air. It is definitely a symbiotic relationship. When we realize that our bodies are living beings and our air is a living being and we're completely mixed together, where do we even find the separation? Just like our bodies are living beings and the microbiome of our body is full of living beings, where do we really define the separation? What's different, really? If my microbiome is completely responsive to my love and my feelings and my intentions on its behalf, then it is really an aspect of myself. And if the air is responsive to our love and gratitude, we can heal the air. So as our love pours out through the collective of this live webinar into the air and heals the air, the beautiful, sweet air that keeps everything on earth alive. The air is not used to people giving it gratitude and treating it with dignity and respect and honoring its life essence. And as we do that, I'm just offering that wave of sweetness and gratitude and love back to the divine self, the mother of the universe, who is then able to come back in and bless the air. So the air is being blessed from the two different angles simultaneously, from the level of our individual collective intention, or I would say our conscious collective intention in the group, and also from the level of divinity itself. And it's from the level of divinity that the blessing is made manifest, that it becomes something very concrete for the earth. You know, our little love that we put into it is appreciated, but by allowing our divine self to do that, restructuring is taking place, which is making healthy the microbial structure of life on earth as it exists in the air. I'm actually seeing changes, molecular structure changes, and that light, which can now reflect. It's the air that makes the earth look shiny, right? The air and the water make the earth look like a shiny thing. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There it goes, there it goes. So I'm just feeling a great, big, healthy, powerful wave of energy flowing through the air and the whole earth. And as that happens, holding silence, offering it all back to the divine. So what we have happening now is very interesting. There's a life matrix on Earth that connects everything in creation and everything on our Earth, all the life forms on our Earth. And that matrix is very much present and prevalent in the air. It interfaces with our air in ways that I was not previously aware until now. Where air. Anyway, it's activating. Whatever we put our attention on is enhanced by that process, right? So by putting attention on the air, what's happening is we're activating the lively awareness of value in the air. We're activating the consciousness of the air. It's receiving such a gift from us that its status as a living skin around our Earth is strengthening. She's gaining strength. There are intelligences in the Earth, Davic intelligences in the Earth, which are responsible for helping to maintain the well-being of our Earth, as well as we are responsible, also they are responsible. So these intelligences are becoming aware of what's happening to the air, and they are also adding in from their side. And the energy is definitely increasing. And I realize that this healing that's happening now is part of the work that we're really the bigger work that we're doing in this live webinar, which is to actively participate in the upliftment or the increase of energy frequency of the whole Earth plane. The whole Earth plane. Thank you. So this is going back as a gift to Earth's sister planets as well. Remember we were saying at this quantum physics, I'll have to add to my team, let's add that little, it's a very short video, I think 5 minutes or something, on the spooky communication between particles, between quantum particles. The Earth plane isn't just on Earth. The Earth plane is on other planets that are middle planets, you know, in the range of expression and creation. So the middle planets can receive middle Earth. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And there are definitely places that are extremely grateful. Huge, huge waves of gratitude are flowing now through this entire system which we've created. So, or I'm just offering that gratitude back to the divine again. Through us, through our little but powerful group, our mighty group. Actually, the group isn't that little. We've got a fairly good number of people with us today. But through our group, I suppose compared to the size of the universe, we're maybe not that big, but we're big enough to be able to create a cosmic event of blessing, not only uplifting the energy frequency of our Earth, and therefore affecting all the people on Earth, making life easier, sweeter, more tuned with natural law, but also other Earths as well. And that gratitude, and as that's happening, as the gratitude is flowing through us, back to the divine, back to the source of creation, the wave of the download that's coming in as a result is a download of deep wisdom and knowledge. Very, very big archives of wisdom and knowledge are becoming accessible to us right now. So we're looking through the body and clearing out any channels or meridians between our individuality, our physical bodies, and these archives that could in any way hamper or block the flow. Oh, and as our collective also, within our collective, we're also clearing the meridians as they run to this, thank you, very, very huge ancient archive. So what this means, everybody, is that any one of us who draws on the wisdom from these archives, anytime we do that, it's going to automatically, spontaneously uplift everybody else in the group. And anybody who watches these videos in the future, please share them widely. So what's happening in this download of wisdom is I'm seeing more deeply the interface between what we identify as lower vibrational frequencies and higher vibrational frequencies of light. Because this is, if as we're manifesting on Earth, we're manifesting within the context of the physicality of our reality. So we're always going to be dealing with the fact that we're a middle world. We've just moved our Earth up a notch, by the way. So we are one of the middle worlds, the worlds full of light versus the worlds that are completely dense and dark. And we're kind of like in the middle where we've got the lights and darks working together. The dynamism, we're in this gappy area. But this wisdom has to do with finer details of how we really work together, the lights and the darks, in order to produce specific effects. Downloads coming in specifically for everybody in the group related to your individual concerns, needs, and situations. But also as a group. And we're connected in with other worlds where people are also middle worlds, where people are working with the same kind of principles that we are. Maybe slightly different physiologies or vastly different physiologies, but looking at these same principles from their unique angles. So what's happening is, remember I was saying that we're like facets on a diamond, and we're all working together for these certain collective intentions. Well, what's happening is the diamond just got a lot bigger. So now the diamond includes Earth as one facet and sister Earths as other facets. So we're getting a chance to look at the mechanics of how the light and the dark interact with each other from not only the angles of human physiologies, but other kinds of physiologies. And that we talked about the waters, and the wise beings in the waters also, they're doing the same thing. They're still working just as we are with the lights and the darks. So what we've been doing thus far, let's just do a quick review because we're offering in right now. There's like a collective pool of wisdom right now that's starting to integrate. And so we're offering as our group is responsible for offering. And what we're saying is what we understand so far is that the negativity is present in order to show a specific form or shape so that we can create its opposite. And that the more well-defined the negativity is, the easier it is to create a template for what we want to have created. The more specific the template can become. Dropping that into the field of pure being, pure silence. What's coming back from other locations is there's a point where the idea that the thing that we don't want meets to the thing that we do want. And in that point is like where the transformation occurs. And thank you. This point of transformation, when you get these opposites together, it's very exciting. It's very dramatic. It's like better than the movies. The energy is extremely dynamic and extremely powerful at that point. And one of the reasons we had to do all this work to make our bodies more refined, also able to be more stable and flexible when we get into the dynamism of that point where the darkness and the light meet each other and the transformation starts to flip over from the one to the other. We have to have plenty of flexibility going on, plenty of adaptability, and the ability to kind of weather a lot of, it's like a big tree outside, if it's got a big strong trunk and nice strong branches, but they're also flexible. Then when the big storms come, the tree bends and turns around, but when the storm is over, all the parts are still there. If the tree is too brittle, then when the big storm comes, it just breaks apart and then there's no tree. So we're restructuring ourselves. And this is also offering into this collective wisdom between the planets, between the solar systems, of this beautiful, sweet, yummy, think of it like a light medicine, which is pouring through everybody's physiologies. This was the thing that came in earlier that went down to the quantum level of the body. It continues. It is creating a continuous loop of physical upgrade for the body. And this was also, you can hear about that in more detail from yesterday, because we did that also when it first came up. And one of the points that I made is, don't be surprised if you notice some of your habits changing. It is entirely possible, as the body is now in a continuous grade. It's the autonomy to rebuild the body, to rebuild the entire system, to go to ever increasing levels of energy frequency, to be able to weather ever increasing dynamism between the light and the dark. Is, as that continues, it could very well lead one to different habits. I recommend sunlight for food. Sunlight is good food. It's very nourishing. Maybe not as your only food, but you can augment your present diet with some sunlight. Just a suggestion. And just a suggestion. Oh. And as that suggestion, I didn't realize as I was saying that was offering into that pool. And what they're saying is they're showing the different facets and features and qualities of light present in the different solar systems. So interesting. So interesting. So the light comes in so many different flavors. Okay, so as we get into this very, very fine gap between the darkness, the thing that we don't want, our situations and concerns and conditions, and into the light, we tend on Earth to think of the lights, the quality of inner light, the light of our awareness, the light of intention, the light of our being, the light of the life force in our bodies associates with the light of our sun. We tend to, there's a resonance, there's a harmonious resonance between the light in our beings and the light of our beautiful, precious, exquisite, amazing sun that's full of life. And on other planets and other solar systems, their suns radiate in like different flavors of light. Everyone is receiving downloads for all the different flavors. Think of them as formulas. This is like a recipe book. Different flavors and formulas of light from all the sister solar systems of our Earth, all the middle worlds that are important and that are connected through this matrix of life. And all these flavors and forms of light are expanding and extending the range, our range and capability of addressing whatever darknesses we're looking at in our world. And don't be surprised. A lot of times, certain challenges that we face on Earth are not just of Earth. A lot of times, particularly the bigger things that tend to affect the collective as a whole, often are not just sort of self-created of our individuality, but something we were doing on Earth attracted in certain kinds of energies from other locations, other cosmic locations. So this is giving us a toolbox, so to say, to address energies such as, for example, genocide. Genocide is not an of the earth illness or imbalance. That's something that comes from outside the compassion of Earth. Also, certain forms of depression. Certain forms of depression are connected to outside. So we have now, we're receiving this compilation of these different flavors of light, which, and I'm just going to, this is what I'm seeing that we have received. I would like to offer that back into the divine and see how the Mother of Creation integrates it for us, stabilizes it, speaks to our physiologies. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. For a lot of people in the group, this expansion of the flavors of light is going to result in an expansion of opulence, wealth, fullness, which is starting to bring me to the one question that came in today. But I want to just make sure that the whole stabilization, then we'll go to the question. More compassion. We also did a really big healing in yesterday's session for the upliftment and expansion of uh, financial opulence and wealth and so forth, and the whole earth. So all that fear already got cleared. It's reminding me very much of back in, say, like the high medieval period, when fine fabrics would be brought from other countries. They'd be brought in on the ships, like silks and stuff like that. And the wealthy, the kings and so forth, would be able to look over all these different beautiful colors and patterns and so forth. It's a little bit like that. These qualities of light coming in from the other solar systems, they're coming directly into our bodies. Let me tell you, your celestial body is already designed to use that light in various ways to support your health, to support your well-being, to support healing in all different ways. It's like a tapestry, kind of. It's creating light more like a tapestry. But the light is a kind of a field, like the air is a field, like the ocean is a field. The light is a field. And it can self-modify in order to express in this variety of these different flavors. We can't use a certain quality of light unless we know it exists. So using your creativity and imagination, you can imagine what these qualities, they've come in already in the body. The body knows them. The body knows them. What we do now is we cognize what we think or feel that those lights must be, particularly what we feel those different flavors of the light must be, might be, could be. And we offer that back to the divine self. For anybody who's not 100% sure about the flavors of the light, this is for you. Offer it back into the divine self. And then what happens is the light reemerges. It re-enters the body. It re-enters the self through the body with more specifics, with more defined detail, with more energy. And every one of these qualities of light contains as its essential nature bliss, contains joy. They are forms of joy. They are forms of buoyancy, lightness, happiness. And they reflect off of all kinds of frequencies in our creation. Sound frequencies, colors, flavors of foods, experiences of all various kinds, the air, the softness in the air, they reflect off of that, the sweetness and compassion in the waters. And they multiply out into other forms. So this is, we're doing this for ourselves, these webinars, right? But what I'm seeing happening here is there is very much of the work that we're doing is benefiting our earth every bit as much as it's benefiting us, maybe more. Maybe more. It's occurring to me at this moment, silly me, it's occurring to me at this moment that the reason we're doing this is not for ourselves at all. The reason we're doing this is because our beautiful, sweet, precious, exquisite, life-giving earth needed a great big boost this morning. She needed a big healing. And everybody on earth, of course, benefits from that, because we wouldn't be here if it weren't for her being healthy. So, but really, this is what the Mother of the Universe wanted to do with this morning's webinar. Oh, and I thought it was about passion for success. Silly me. The thing is that we're getting the resources that we need to also apply to our specific intentions for the webinar, right? Because these qualities of light, they're all different qualities of bliss. They're all different qualities of excitement and enthusiasm and passion. That's what they are. So what we're doing in this webinar is we're being given the raw materials and the principle of how to apply the raw materials so that we can put the pieces together ourselves. I so want all of you to be autonomous. I so want every one of you to be able to just have all the tools you need at hand, self-created, so that you can just move forward and do absolutely anything. You are so amazing. Okay, we have just 5 minutes. And the question came, oh yes. So the question comes in. There was one written question printed out. Thank you. So here we go. This is a great question too, and it's so on topic for the webinar. The only passion I can find is in terms of being. So the divine being. So there's passion in the act of folding back into the mother of creation and expansion of love. In terms of relative achievements, nothing gives me enough motivation to strive for success and engage in sustained activity. I don't know if this is all right, as I also feel pressure that I should do more and be more useful. This dilemma creates a lot of tension, fatigue, and restlessness. Looking for some resolution and a big let go. Thank you for that great question. So I'm just going to put that right there so I can refer to it. So first of all, what we do, doing happens on lots of different levels of creation, right? So as long as as long as your needs are met as a human being, as long as you have a comfortable, dignified place to live, you have healthy, appropriate food to eat. If you feel like you need something, you need a new pair of pants or something, that you have the resources to go get whatever it is that you need, then engaging in some sort of work where you're bringing in an income maybe isn't necessary on that level. However, we have to understand that what we give to the earth, like you may say, well, okay, maybe I'm financially comfortable enough, I don't really have to work. On the one hand, but wouldn't it be good for me to be doing something useful during the day, something valuable for mankind, something that serves humanity? And the answer is, we serve humanity best through the radiance of our being. So when the being is full of light and love and happiness, expansion of being, expansion of love, then by doing nothing, you are actually serving. You are actually serving. If a person is moving through their world and their creation, and they're just filled with anger and seeing everybody as awful, terrible people and complaining about every little thing as they go along, then they're radiating energy into the creation that lowers the frequency for everybody. So by being your beautiful, sweet, amazing self, and I know the person who asked this question is such an angel, by being who you are, you spontaneously are doing great good at deeper, more abstract levels of creation that have a broader ranging effect. Therefore, you don't tend to see the byproduct or the results of your work as clearly. If you go in the kitchen and you wipe down the counter, bam, the counter's clean and you see the results of the work. But if you're doing something, if what you're doing is more of the field level of your being is what's actually is the active part of your being, this is the area where you're most engaged, then the effect is going to go out into the field and it's going to create a sort of systemic effect in the environment, which may not be as obvious on a dense material level of creation. If your activity is, I'd like to take a walk, or maybe it's time for a nap, maybe it's time for a snack or a meal or some tea, maybe it's time to read a book. These activities are also valid. I'm looking specifically because I know that you're not the only one, and for a lot of people, and not necessarily people who are in on this specific webinar, but people that I'm working with in other areas, it's hard to get out of habits. That in order to be able to, say, take up a new activity that maybe a volunteer activity for some local charity or something like that, it means having to change the routine. It means being in a new space. Part of it that I'm seeing for the lady who asked this question is that I know, and all of this is important for all of us, is that as this light in our physiologies continues to increase and increase, we will be more sensitive One is sensitive not only to the thoughts and feelings of other people, but also to other kinds of energy frequencies and so forth. And so having that level of sensitivity means that it's not as pleasant as it might have been. Some people are like, oh, I'm going to go down to my local mental hospital and volunteer. And it may be that doing that is incredibly good for the heart and really expands the feeling of compassion and empathy for others and so forth. But it may be that going into a space like that, one becomes, a little sensitive or hypersensitive to some of the denser, darker energies in a place like that too. Because, I shouldn't have used a mental hospital as an example, because this could be anywhere, literally. It could, any house, any home, any place, a school, anywhere could have, it just depends on the individual location, could have kind of heavy, dark, dense energies in them. So a jail, a church, anywhere could. The point that's coming up here is that there's been a feeling, and we're clearing, tendency in the physiology to feel like it's not fun, or it won't be exciting, it won't be really interesting to go into a space that needs my support and to apply my support in that space to uplift it. But we now have a bigger tool chest to get to start to utilize and explore the range and capability of these different forms of light that we now possess, which we are now integrating. As you apply them to activity, you actually integrate them, you learn about them, you familiarize yourself with them. So they also protect you. That entering into a situation where there's a need in society, or there's a need in culturally, or there's a need in the field of education or wherever, that being able to move into that area, one gets closer to that little point of tension between the flop from the one to the other, from the situation that we don't like to the situation that we do like. The more you get in and apply yourself in there, the more you're in a really, really dynamic situation where there's a lot of energy moving in both directions, and every little decision you make and every little move you make has a really dramatic effect. You get to see the mechanics of how you are the divinity of creation interfacing with the manifested expression of divinity to create better, finer, clearer, more exquisite expressions of self. So the excitement comes through the doing. So if we sit at home and think, well, maybe I could do that, but I don't know, or maybe I could do that, but I don't know, part of it is moving in a little closer. I suggest for the lady who asked this question to first pose the question to your own divine self, drop it into that field of pure being, and then see what kind of impressions come back in. Visions, ideas, sometimes sensations, impressions. What kind of impressions come up that will start to guide you in the direction that will be dharmic for you, which means it will not only be something that you can do that is fun and exciting and you have the resources to do it, but also helps other people, but also aligns you with your own expansion of experience of being and love. Because if that's what excites you, then that's what you have to move toward. So there are things you can do. There will be certain, we know this. We know there are infinite universe of things you could do that activate these things that you love best. And I so honor that these deep, pure, powerful things, that the passion that you feel towards the expansion of being and the expansion of love is just so beautiful, and it's so perfect. It means that you will very spontaneously be aligned with activities that are going to be really, really life-supporting. So we drop that intention. I want to do something cool and good and fun with my days rather than just sitting around taking walks and drinking tea. I want to do something which enhances the expansion of being and enhances the depth and profound experience and expression of love in my life. And then the divine being brings it back in as a thought or idea, experience. And then what you do is, it's the job of the conscious mind, the personality, to look at those impressions, ideas, visions, dreams and decide, does it really align with that feeling that I get when being is expanding? Is it connected? Is it in line with that? And if it is, then you offer that again back to the feet of divinity, and the sequential steps will unfold before you of how to get from where you are to how you want to be. There's a lot of letting go because the cycle loops around again, and each time we let go a little bit more, but that lets us move into that field and exceed our expectations and be amazing. So thank you for that exquisite question. And with that, everybody, I'm looking at my clock, and in honor of everyone's time, I would like to say this is probably a good time for us to end our webinar today. But thank you, everyone, so much for being with me. Thank you for the interesting, exceeding my expectations, certainly, journey that we took today to do a mass healing for Mother Earth, for the waters, for the air, for all the people of Earth, for our own beings, to reestablish our own definition of who we are and to restructure our physiologies in a continuous pattern of refinement and strengthening and integrating of our physiologies, so that we can become antennas for the divine in ways that we haven't even imagined yet. So I'm excited to find out what that's going to be. And I hope you are too. And may you enjoy so much more compassion, so much more excitement, enthusiasm, and passion and bliss in everything that you do. And may that be the determinant for the decisions that you make, so that you are ever choosing to take actions in directions that lead you to greater and greater alignment with cosmic evolution, with your own dharma, with your own highest evolution expression of being. You guys are totally amazing. And this has been incredible. And it was not what I was expecting, but so much more than I was expecting. So thank you, everyone, for today. Oh, thank you for the little heart. Someone sent me a heart. It was really fun, and I love you dearly, and I look forward to sharing more webinars with you in the future. Each one builds up upon the one before it. So as amazing as this was, evidently, I presume the next one will be even more amazing. So thank you again all very much. Oh, we love you so much. So much. Okay, see you later. I'm going to end the meeting now. Looking forward to seeing you all again soon. Bye.